Hare Krishna. Replacing addiction to sinfulness with addiction to self-righteousness is not progress. When we start aspiring to live a principle-centered life, when we start practicing spirituality, before that we might have been addicted to some sinful habits, and we may have considered ourselves very fallen. Oh, I am trying to give this, I am not able to give it, how fallen I am, how attached I am. But then we start practicing spiritual life and we find that the process of Bhakti Yoga is dramatically transformational. The habits that we had earlier, which we had struggled in vain to give up earlier, now we are able to give up quite easily. And this should actually serve as testimony to the power of Bhakti. But unfortunately our mind is so cunning that instead of thinking that this is the greatness of Bhakti, we start thinking that our purity is our own, is testimony to our own greatness. So what happens by this is that we may become free from sin, but when we start thinking this is the proof of my greatness, then that increases our ego. So in the past we may have been addicted to lust, we might have been addicted to greed, but now we are addicted to pride, to arrogance. And the result of this is that we become very self-righteous. Self-righteous means that we just want the whole world to know how pure we are and how fallen they are. So whenever we meet with others, we make it a point to make them feel bad about themselves. You do like this, you do like this, you do like this. So self-righteous people are very alienating. And such people, how do they alienate? Because their whole air of superiority makes people just go away from them, repels people. And the purpose of being spiritual, especially being devotionally spiritual, is to represent Krishna's all attractiveness in a small way and to attract others towards Krishna, not repel them away from him. And so therefore what we all need essentially in our spiritual life is that we move forward steadily, is that we recognize that our goal is Krishna and our progress is also because of Krishna. It is not because of our greatness. So if we are simply replacing the addiction to sinfulness with the addiction to self-righteousness, sometimes people who are very proud, they just can't not find faults. It's delight, yeah, you are like this, you are like that, you are like that. When that happens, then we are not progressing. We may have given up lust, but we have taken up pride. And that is, although the external form may be different, externally we may have given up sinful activities, but we are still in the clutches of illusion. And the Bhagavad Gita tells us that the godly people, whose qualities are described in the 16th chapter from verses 1 to 3, there it is said one of their characteristics is apaishunam. Apaishunam means they are averse to fault finding. They have no inclination, no desire to find fault. Sometimes as a service, as a duty, when they are guiding or mentoring others, they may point out faults, but they do not delight in it. They actually are very sensitive. They point faults and they also encourage. And they don't make people feel bad about themselves. They are never self-righteous. So if we have given up sinfulness, we also need to give up self-righteousness. And we can do that if our vision is fixed on Krishna. If we see our purity from sin as the mercy of Krishna, then we will not get the impurity of self-righteousness. Because our focus is on Krishna and we see our purity as a result of Krishna's greatness. Thank you. Hare Krishna.